Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our April session of our Pitchmasters workshop, brought to you by Next, powered by Shulman Rogers, Next Raise, Deloitte, SeedSpot, and Silicon Valley Bank. We are really excited to be here today with three fantastic entrepreneurs who are ready to practice their pitch and get ready for investment. My name is Lisa Friedlander. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer over here at Next, powered by Shulman Rogers. Next is an award-winning model for the delivery of legal services to startup and emerging growth companies. We offer a variety of fixed-fee legal packages from formation all the way through Series A, layered with lots of holistic and value-added workshops and webinars like Pitchmasters to de-risk your startups and ensure the most success you possibly can. So I'm really excited to have our partners and judges here with us today. I want to have them introduce themselves and their companies. And Miranda, why don't we kick off with you from SeedSpot?
Yeah, I'm Miranda Williamson. I'm the Director of Recruitment at SeedSpot, and we work with underrepresented entrepreneurs to get them access to the support and resources that they need to succeed.
Terrific. Thank you, Miranda. Krista from Deloitte.
Hi, I'm Krista Smith with Deloitte. I lead our early stage practice within the greater Washington area. We provide audit and tax services to up-and-coming, fast-growing companies as you move through your journey of development.
Awesome, Krista. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Patrick from Silicon Valley Bank.
Hey, everybody. It's great to be here. So as Lisa said, I am with SVB. Based in the DC area now, and basically responsible for our startup banking, founder success, and business development team on the East Coast. So we've got local market teams in Boston, New York, DC, Atlanta, Miami, and I basically cover as far west as Austin and Chicago. One of the main focus points of our team is helping our companies access capital, build their customer base, and attract talent. And so we're doing events almost every day of the week that are targeted towards helping founders in those three areas. And great to be here and can't wait to hear the pitches.
Fantastic. Well, thank you to our sponsors and our judges. And with that, Candy, you're first up. I will kick it over to you to share your screen and get started whenever you're ready.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna share screen now. And all right, is everyone able to see my screen?
We can. Terrific.
Okay, great. Well, if you're like me and you consider your purchasing power impact from the grocery aisle, then you'll be interested in Southeastern Roastery coffee. Sean Gosling, author and psychologist, notes that you can tell a lot about an individual by looking at what they purchase through their values and their cares. For example, fun-loving individuals that like new experiences and new adventures tend to spend more money in travel, dining, and even drinks like coffee. At Southeastern Roastery, we share that love for new experiences and new adventures, particularly in the beverage sector, and even more so when they're immersive and conscious for our environment and for our well-being. We call this mindfully cultivating the senses. My name is Candy Sheabley, and I'm the founder and CEO of Southeastern Roastery, where we do just that. I lead a team of our operations director, Jess Schell, our business development director, Van Henderson, and making sure that our coffee roasting company is committed to healthy and diverse environment and human existence. We are the solution for coffee consumers who desire to indulge intentionally and want to make a conscious impact through their purchasing power. We do this by roasting in a way that supports biodiversity, by bringing our products to market that bridge human health and plant existence, and promoting work-life balance. You can see this through our certifications in our USDA organic certification and our Smithsonian bird-friendly certification. And I'm proud to say that we're the first Black female-owned coffee company with a processing license from the USDA certification in the nation. And we're very proud to do that. And that's one thing that makes us unique. But what also makes us unique are our diverse flavors. For example, we offer orange creamsicle cold brew, cardamom coffees in cold brew, and other fun flavors in cans. We also bring a unique approach to our implementation through our diversity in our workforce, our scientific exploration and alternative methods for sensory exploration, for which we have a copyright, and our constant curiosity and our love for our values. And our audience really shares our values. 65% of shoppers say that they'd rather buy a product that has USDA certified organic on it than not. And this is even a higher percentage in younger shoppers that are making up 20% of the purchase market currently. Young Gen Z shoppers are looking more at sustainability, for example, in their products. And people who enjoy new experiences and adventures are more apt to look at ingredients on their labels. They want to see not only that the price is right and the product tastes great, but that it's also nutritious and that it's clean and that it's healthy. We offer this to our shoppers. We give the coffee buyer an opportunity to have conscious buyer impact to support regenerative agriculture and sustainability and well-being while intentionally indulging. 65% of value-oriented shoppers said that they're extremely adventurous and love to explore new flavors. We like that. That's great for our business. 88% of organic and natural market shoppers are more frequent shoppers, actually. They go to the grocery store at least once a week. That's also good for business. So there's a thirst for value, for the natural market and organic value. The market itself has grown 7% from 2022 to 2023 to over $302 billion. I'm talking about the natural and organic food market. This is largely led by the beverage sector, including cold brew coffees, kombuchas, and the like. Post-COVID, we've also seen an increase in brick and mortar sales through conventional multi-outlet channels, convenience channels, and regional and independent grocery stores. And that's where we're pushing our product growth. We're doing this specifically in the Southeast region. One, because we're pretty much in the Southeast region, Mid-Atlantic to Southeast region. But second, because we've seen revenue growth in coffee in this area from 2022 to 2023, from a little less than $2 billion to a little bit more than $2.5 billion. We're doing this by partnering with Founders Market, a 3PL company out of Pennsylvania, for distribution and marketing. We look forward to obtaining the USDA Organic Market Development Grant, which we are expecting to receive in May, to support our increase in capacity through sealers, baggers, and other equipment. With this, we plan to increase our e-commerce through our Benevolent Bean fundraising program and our toll roasting and white label clientele to reach roughly 4,000 pounds a month in roasting. We're planning on using funding for marketing and distribution, initially for our participation with Founders Market for whole bean and cold brew regionally. This is in support of our growth and development that we are planning and expecting to reach roughly $250,000 by the end of 2024, and then $500,000 to $600,000 in the next year, 2025, which puts us on a trajectory to reach $3 million by year 6. Won't you help us in pushing conscious impact and value proposition through coffee drinking and coffee purchasing by showing interest in Southeastern Roastery coffee? I thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me.
Thank you, Candy. That was great. That was about 6.5, but we're good. If you want to stop sharing, we'll open it up. And Krista, do you want to start with your feedback for Candy?
Sure. First of all, great presentation. I thought you did a nice job, and it was, to me, it was clear. I'll say the angle of what you were trying to do. I drink a lot of coffee, but I don't know a whole lot about the coffee industry, so I will preface that. I guess the one thing I was looking for, so you talked about value and sustainability and um you didn't use these words, but my interpretation was why I would want to pay more. But you didn't tell me what I was going to be paying. And so that was just something that I was looking for. But you addressed what the organic market was, and you did talk about where you're trying to get to and your thoughts around how you were going to get there. So I thought that was good.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Krista. Miranda.
Okay, you were speaking directly to me. I am very conscious of how I spend my dollars, and I drink a lot of coffee. And so I loved how you talked about the value of your product in a saturated market. Coffee is a very saturated market, and you clearly spoke about how you were going to tap into a very specific type of customer within that saturated market. And that's me. So I loved it. I loved the beginning of your presentation, and I loved how you continued to weave that narrative throughout the pitch, which is this is how we're different from others in this market. And I don't care what the cost is, I'd probably pay it. But that's I think I'm your customer.
Okay.
Your slides were a little busy for me, starting on slide 3. And then that continued throughout. I was like, I'm going to go slide 3, slide 4, but then I'm going to stop because I would have counted too many. There was just a lot on there. And I wanted to see those graphs, but I couldn't focus on any one or tell which one you were talking about because there was so much packed into one slide. And then I think also some of the additional imagery was a little bit much, like the birds and the butterfly and the coffee beans. I loved some of it, but it just was like a little busy. And I would love to see the choice of which ones you picked for each slide, because that would help me focus as you're speaking, because I really wanted to follow all of the pieces. That's it. That's my feedback.
Thank you.
Good job, though.
Great feedback, Miranda. Patrick.
Hey, so also speaking to me, big coffee drinker. I think my espresso machine is one of my prized possessions at home. So I thought you had really good poise throughout the whole presentation. I felt that you spent quite a bit too long on the main title page and kind of setting the whole stage there. For me, the message could be simplified significantly, which I think also ties into the last comments. It's basically that people vote with their wallet. I don't think anybody's going to argue with that. 2, coffee is a huge category. And then, 3, this isn't just about sustainability, but it's also, as you said, creating a product that's different in market. So it's good. And you have all of these different flavors. I felt some of the, unless you're planning on expanding into like other sustainability categories, I felt like that actually distracted from your point. Because the focus here is on coffee. And so I would be laser focused on the coffee market, where the market placement is for you and what the differentiation is. Is just the differentiation that you have the partnership with Founders Market. I think people are going to want to hear a little bit more around what sets you apart. Also hearing about a little bit more about your background, right? So why, because you hear a lot about product market fit, but I think founder market fit or founder company fit is almost more important. Like, why are you working on this? Did you have a background in coffee? Did you do something in supply chain or logistics? And probably also calling out kind of like, what are the differentiators here in terms of like, how are you sourcing the relationships with the sustainable agricultural practices or things like that? I'd like to hear a little bit more there. And then the last is probably, there wasn't really anything defining your go-to-market aside from, do you have traction now? Like on the graph, it just had year 1, year 2, year 3, but like, what's your revenue plan for this year? Or what did you have last year? To just understand kind of the traction that you're seeing in market. And, you mentioned both selling direct to consumer and then also wholesale. I think in the early stage, generally is better to focus on one just because it can get super hard. And also the whole fulfillment side of the business gets different. So I'd probably look at where you think you're going to have the most revenue and at least initially focus on just direct to consumer, with obviously the plan as you build out your team and capabilities, you could expand into kind of other parts of the market. But otherwise, I'd love to try the product.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're muted, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you, Tara. Just to double down real quick on some of everybody's comments, you spent 4 minutes setting up the sort of the core differentiator, and I streamline. You're not going to have that long per se. Like, we get it. We know millennials, like, say it, of course, like Patrick had mentioned, people, vote with their wallet. People care about this stuff, blah, blah, blah. What are the other competitors in the market on coffee? Like, just talk about coffee. I think your slide where you had all of the different CPG industry products, coffee wasn't even listed on there. So really streamlined. People care about this. Coffee is a huge market. It's also super saturated. How are you going to stand out? I want to know more about your product. You really glossed over what your product actually is, and who you are. I agree with that, as well as how are you going to get to 50 million? Because if you're going to be venture backable, I think you said you're going to get to 3 million in year 6. That's not a venture backable company. It's a great company and that's awesome, but it's not a venture backable company. So you're going to have to tell investors, you can set up the introduction, coffee, sustainability, we care. Future generations care. Here are the numbers of people, buying coffee on a regular basis for these, that care about this stuff. The price point of yours versus theirs, to Krista's point, your go-to-market strategy, to Patrick's point, little less busy slides, who you are, right? But how are you going to get to 50 million in sales if you're going to take venture backable, if you're going to, take outside capital?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Really
And,
nice
presentation. The one thing I just tie on to Lisa's comments is how you acquire your customers, right? And so that could also be a differentiator. Like, are you leveraging, social media channels or something like that to reach millennial consumers?
Yes.
And then I think investors are going to want to know, if you're doing that, like, what is a reasonable CAC, so customer acquisition cost? One benefit of doing like the direct to consumer is you could probably build in like a recurring revenue side. So you get a monthly subscription or kind of whatever that looks like. But I would think a lot deeper on the business model and speaking about the business model and what makes it special and different and venture backable.
Okay.
Totally agree.
Thank you.
Excellent comments. All right, Michael, you are up next. Feel free to share your screen and get started whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you so much. Let me share my screen here. All right, everyone can see my slides?
Yep, looks terrific.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Timmons, founder and CEO of Good Fences. We're improving trust between homeowners and HOAs. Let's face it, no one loves their HOA. This is just the nature of the world. The paperwork, the lack of communication, it's no wonder that homeowners struggle to trust their HOAs. And when homeowners don't trust their HOAs, litigation costs go through the roof. At Good Fences, we're kind of revolutionizing that approach. We're changing that dynamic, and we're delivering a AI-powered mobile app platform that transforms the way homeowners and HOAs interact with each other. It's efficient. It's based on technology, automates key processes, streamlines that communication, and it does it in a manner that's transparent for homeowners, but also mitigates risk for the HOAs themselves. And one of the keys to this platform is that it's dual-sided in the way that it works. There's a view for the homeowners that is customized and built just to support their particular needs and the tasks they need to do. And there's a side that is built to support the staff, the things in the tasks that they need to do, because those two sides of the platform are very, very different in terms of the goals and aspirations of what they're trying to do. What does this opportunity look like? Well, total addressable market size is about 42.2 billion. Service attainable market, we believe, is about 117 million in roughly about 5 years. What is this based on? Well, there's 74.2 million homeowners that live in one of almost 360,000 HOAs in the US, and 78% of all new construction is being built in HOAs today. That's what these numbers are based on. Our go-to-market strategy, we're following a PLG model. We believe that our intuitive design and the unique value that we'll deliver to our customers, which are the HOAs themselves, will stand on its own and allow us to grow rapidly organically. We're going to have some key components to that model, like a no risk-free trial period. We're being laser focused in who we're targeting at the very get-go when we start to roll this out. We're looking for only large-scale HOAs, that's 1,000 residences or more, and we want them to be self-managed versus those that are managed by a professional company. Our key metrics are linked to the value that we can deliver to our customers, and namely being able to reduce the request processing time and also increase their homeowner satisfaction rates. So I mentioned in the slide before, we are offering a 3-month free trial period. After that, it's a $9 per month per unit resident access fee. All of this is built directly to the HOA. Nothing's built to the homeowner. And, as I mentioned, the 1,000 minimum residences, that's around $108,000 in revenue per HOA. Here's our pro forma. Year 1, after we receive investment, we can get to around 3.6 million, taking that to 28 million in year 2, all the way out to the 117 to 118 million by year 5. We have some competitors out there in the market space, but majority of them are just sort of point solutions that don't address this need. They were not built to solve this particular problem. The one exception is Appfolio. They're sort of in this space, but the customer reviews out there are absolutely horrendous. No one really likes this product. Our founders, this is the secret sauce to us, I believe. We've all worked together with the exception of Dana Lithisak. We have delivered we've delivered mobile apps for Blue Cross Blue Shield in the past. We delivered the first mobile apps that they ever developed. And many of us have gone on to deliver mobile apps for other Fortune 500 companies. We have a great team. We know this business inside out. We know homeowner management. We have experience from architectural review boards all the way to managing the HOAs themselves. We've got it all covered. We understand the industry. What's our ask? We're seeking seed investment. We will take that seed investment, grow that into 400 HOAs under contract on the platform, which will result in at least 28.4 million within 24 months. And that'll enable us to get to the next phase as we're starting to grow further out. So I know that's a lot in a very short, compressed time, but really and truly just want to emphasize that Good Fences, we're really all about building that vision of being an integral part of making communities stronger and healthier around the world. And thank you for your time.
Excellent, Michael. Well done. And at about 5.5. So thank you. Thank you for that. Let's reverse it. And Patrick, you want to kick off? Michael, why don't you stop sharing so we can to give the feedback and see each other a little bit better. And Patrick, why don't you kick us off this time?
Yeah, sounds great. Well, thank you, Michael. Love that. I've been a part of HOAs in the past, so also have some of that firsthand experience with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Sorry, and I just got a notification that apparently my flight might have been canceled. Oh well, all good. I'll deal with that later. I would start off with the market size kind of right up front, right? And basically I'd start off a little bit more on the storytelling side, right? Where it's like, who's got experience with HOAs? close to a majority of Americans, and the majority of, the 78% of new home builds being a part of an HOA really stuck out. So it was sort of like, what's the dream of being a part of an HOA? You want a well-managed community, architectural standards, efficient, delivery of services there. What's the reality of it? Okay, and some are well-managed, some aren't, what have you. With the market size, I'd love if that was a little bit more granular, right? So if you think about the HOAs across the country, you kind of called out that your focus is on those that are 1,000 units or more. How many is that really? Because I would have to imagine that there's kind of I'd have to imagine that the majority are much smaller, kind of more informal. And then how much of an opportunity really is kind of there? It looked like your revenue forecast was just kind of linearly saying, okay, it's going to be $108 a year, per household. So that's $108,000 for a 1,000 unit HOA. That felt like a little bit of a simplistic kind of formula. And also, that's a cost that would get passed back to HOAs. And so I'd want to understand, like, what are HOA fees looking like overall? How much are consumers spending in that, to basically understand what was behind, the TAM and the TAM that you would address. Talked about, pursuing kind of a product-led growth strategy. I would have loved to have heard more about the product. What's really making it different? You called out on kind of the competitive landscape slide, the one company that is in market right now. You're proposing charging almost double what they're charging. That can be difficult, right? So understanding, like, what's really different, even if it's just like a comparison, like, these are the features that the competitor offers, these are the features that we offer. So, like, kind of what can you do there? And then also just on, like, the go-to-market side, I was wondering, when you mentioned, like, the more informal HOAs versus the professionally managed, I would almost think the professionally managed ones would be easier to sell into, because presumably they've got, like, better defined decision rights and people whose kind of full-time job it is to look at this stuff. So just understanding, like, who is your buyer going to be, particularly if it's more of an informal organization that you're kind of trying to sell into. So, but otherwise, like, would love to hear more about
All right, thank you so much. I do have answers to a lot of that, but thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Patrick. Great feedback. Miranda.
So great job, Michael. I really enjoyed the pace, and I thought your voice came across very clear. So I really enjoyed, like, the setup that you gave us. I would like to have seen the customer much sooner, like, to know who the customer was earlier. I had to, like, kind of deduce who the customer was when you got to, like, slide 3, I believe. And like Patrick, I also wanted to know much more about the product. And I thought I was going to get it when you went into the competition. I thought that's where we were going to get a little bit more insight into the product. And you only actually talked about one competitor, and then that was it, rather than going into, like, these are our competitors, and this is why we're different and unique and better, and this is our value add. So definitely wanted to highlight that point with Patrick. And I also wanted to highlight, will an HOA pay for this? I don't know. Like, I honestly have never been part of an HOA. I don't know. I don't have a lot of knowledge of why they would pay for it. What's their value add? What are they getting out of it? So that's more into, like, describing the product and why they would want this. All right, that's it. That's me.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Miranda. Krista.
I would, certainly echo what Miranda and Patrick have provided. But I did, one of the things I wanted to point out is I really liked the slides, because I thought they were very clean. They weren't too busy, and I wasn't trying to read and take everything in. They were just very succinct. And I thought your cadence and your presentation was great as well.
Oh, thank you. I felt like I was really rushing through, so thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I thought your pacing was fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I thought your pacing was great. Your slide, totally agree with Krista. I really enjoyed your slides. I thought they looked fantastic. I had sort of the same thoughts as you were going through, like, really understanding, like, they're going to pay $100,000 for this. Like, that seemed a little, and then your projections seemed a little unbelievable at this stage right out of the gate. Do you have a beta, like, or is somebody using it right now? Like, I would have loved to have heard if you do have a client. If not, if you're totally pre-revenue, then what kind of customer discovery have you done? Who have you worked with these different groups? I agree with Patrick. I would think an organized, more professional HOA may be more inclined to actually pay for this to help them manage it if they're not being able to do a good enough job. What is the one or two things that HOAs do a miserable job of from their perspective, right? What is if the HOA itself is your customer, we all know maybe what the pain points are from the resident. But if your customer is the HOA, what is their big pain point, right? What are they struggling the most with? Is it response time? Is it approvals? Is it communicate? I don't know. So I think you are like 90% of the way there. I think just streamlining it and putting forth a little bit stronger of an argument and a little bit more believable path to, your go-to-market and your path to the financials that you're claiming, needs to be worked on a little bit, but really, really well done and super close, Michael.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, Tyrell, we're gonna give it a try with you. I have your slot, but hopefully you'll be able to share and make it work. And if not, we'll do our best.
Yes, no problem. Can you confirm if you can see that?
It looks like something is coming. Yes. Yes,
Okay.
you can see it. If you can put it in presentation mode, that's even better. Perfect.
All right.
Awesome. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. My name is Tyrell Junius. I'm the co-founder and chief operating officer at Tiami Networks. And we are building the world's largest distributed radar using integrated sensing and communications for 5G. We're based in Sacramento and the DMV area, focused on B2B and B2G. So this is our team. We have deep expertise in wireless communications, more than 35 years. My business partner and founder, Dr. Amitav Mukherjee, has 120 patents to his name, former distinguished R&D leader at Verizon, Ericsson, Charter Communications. We have our tech advisor, Dr. Sumit Roy, who's former director of the Office of Undersecretary of Defense for 5G communications. Our business development representative, Mr. Randy Clark, has more than 20 years in telecommunications and is really helping us with customer discovery. And myself, I have 10 years experience in international affairs and technology implementations, both in healthcare, agriculture, and also agriculture, yes. And the rest of the team is focused on signal processing, building proprietary AI machine learning algorithms. And we just rolled this product out with Intel at Mobile World Congress Barcelona in February. So we're currently bootstrapping using the Small Business Innovation Research Grant Program. In 2022, that's how we launched Tiami. We started with one SBIR with the Department of Agriculture. Since that time, we now have 9 SBIRs across various federal agencies, and this is a snapshot of some of those projects. And all of the projects essentially are focused on wireless communication, cybersecurity, building resilience around our telecommunication network. So we're solving the problem of leveraging the more than 350,000 cell sites across the US. Currently, there's exabytes of information that are coming off of these cell towers, and mobile network operators, utility providers, government entities, they are not making sense of this data. So using our product, which we trademarked as PolyEdge, can help them realize some new opportunities. So we've licensed technology from the Air Force Research Lab. This is a hardware, radio frequency, and photonic front end, and we've built some software on top of it. Now, essentially, this product will attach onto a light pole, the side of a building, on top of a building, to detect the nearest cell tower or base station. It does not matter what mobile network operator it attaches to. We simply grab the strongest signal and make use of it. And then, using our proprietary AI algorithms and machine learning, we're able to track people and objects in the environment without a 5G device, without using a camera, no GPS, no ultra wideband tags, just using the radio frequency signature that's already radiating in the world. So there's tons of applications for this, both on the defense side and on the commercial. So this is a true dual use technology. Coming up in the next couple of months, we'll be executing a cyber phase 2 with the Department of Defense, focused on how to use integrated sensing and communication in a war-fighting scenario. Right now, they're very interested in unmanned aerial systems and how to detect that using radio frequency signatures. So that's where we will start. And then we will further go on with some ground applications. Then on the commercial side, we're 100% focused on smart cities. We're seeing a lot of demand around pedestrian safety and public safety transportation management. So one case study, we compare this against cameras. As you know, cameras capture personal identifiable information. Some localities, this could be a challenge. Cameras performance degrade depending on the weather, and they require a high bandwidth backhaul due to all of the imaging processing. So these are some further examples on how sensing could be better than cameras in certain scenarios. So this is our initial demo setup. On the right, you'll see a field programmable array, FPGA. That's where we implement a lot of our signal processing and AI algorithms. To the left, you'll see a fire cell, which is acting as a base station. And that's how we prove visibility in the lab. So here we have a demo. This is our colleague Manu. On the desk there is our sensing technology. He's lying down, falling down, walking, and we're able to classify all that information in real time. This is no camera, no LiDAR, no GPS. He's picking up an object, he's running. So this is specific for an indoor situation. Can you imagine how this can be applied for an indoor situation? So next, we wanted to take it outside. So to give you an example, there's a cell tower about 1.5 miles away. The box that's further closest to the wall, that's our sensor, and closest near the laptop is our actual antenna. And we're able to classify different vehicles that are going through our sensor in real time. Lastly, we wanted to test unmanned aerial system, Group 1 unmanned aerial systems, which is a huge issue right now for the Federal Aviation Authority, airports, among other entities. So we're able to detect any type of unmanned aerial system that is operating in the environment. So currently we're operating a pilot with the city of Elk Grove in California to better classify traffic management. Currently they're using no cameras. Our sensor will be placed inside of this traffic cabinet that's at the bottom right. We're currently conducting field trials. As I mentioned, we are executing a project with the Undersecretary of Defense Integrated Sensing Unit, but also on the commercial side with the city of Elk Grove. There's a $2 billion immediate market opportunity with a potential additional $1 billion for adjacent customers. So our ask is to create a memorandum of understanding or letter of support so we can further prove out our proof of pilot concepts. But also we're looking for team agreements around the SBIR program, and we're raising a $4 million seed round via a safe note. That concludes my presentation. I clocked myself. I'm at 6:41. Sorry about that.
I was gonna say, no worries. You're at 6:41, but no problem at all. Tyrell, why don't you stop sharing and we will go back to Krista to kick off the feedback.
Sure. So I thought you did a great job of describing what the program does, because when you said radar as a service, I was like, oh, I know more about coffee and HOAs than I know about radar. But when you finished, I was like, oh, I get it. So I thought that you did a great job there.
Thank you.
The only, I guess, the only other thing I'll say is, I'm not sure you needed to spend as much time up front on the team, because I probably want to know what the product is, and what it's going to do, and then why the team is well suited to do what you just said. So maybe just a little reordering and less time on team.
Okay.
So thanks, Krista. Miranda.
I would definitely agree with Krista there. I was confused for a long time. Like, why do I care about this team and what they're doing? But I wanted to preface to say, like, it might depend on who your audience is in how you go into this conversation. And I want to preface that I'm an audience that doesn't know very much about this technology that you're working with. And so when you explained what the company did, that meant nothing to me in the beginning. It didn't actually begin to mean anything to me, as Kristen said, until you like guided us through what it actually meant. So I was lost for a very long time in that presentation. So I would just be very aware of your audience and what knowledge base they have and reorganize depending. So that was my big takeaway there. Then I believe the market, again, I don't know a lot about this market, but that was really glossed over. And I'd love to know a bit more about how you got those numbers and what they meant. And that would help me.
No problem.
Thank you. That's
Awesome,
good.
Miranda. Thank you. Patrick.
Yeah, super interesting. Love the presentation. Good detail, I think, on a lot of the slides. I agree with, I think, a lot of the earlier comments. I thought that I had a good understanding when you got to like maybe slide 5, when you said, we exist to build resilience in our mobile infrastructure or something along those lines. But then, I felt kind of as you continued going, it was almost like what you're doing continued to broaden, right? It's almost like what you're doing is pioneering the use of 5G to like build situational awareness. And that could be used for securing infrastructure, but then it could be used for, generating data and insights from pedestrian traffic, whatever else. So I think I'd probably suggest just crispening up, like, what is the actual problem that you're solving here? And I mean, it's obviously a very cool thing that you built. Like, there are a bunch of applications, but I think you're going to have to like guide the witness a little bit to understand like what is the most interesting use case for this now, and then what could be some of the use cases down the road. I would move like that slide you had on the grants way back to the end, along with the team slide. I think your team's awesome, and that kind of speaks to how you were able to build such advanced technology. The grant slide is basically, for me, the takeaway there is like you've been able to build this so far in a very capital and dilution sensitive way. That's great. It shows that you guys obviously have been able to hustle and figure out ways of taking advantage of government programs to get funding. Yeah, also agreed. I didn't really understand, like, how do you price? How do you sell? Who's the customer? You mentioned that the target market's 10,000 customers. Based on what you presented, it seems like the target market could be a hell of a lot bigger than that. It just depends. And so it's kind of like understanding who are those customers, right? And I guess if you're just looking at like bigger defense contractors, government, cities, okay, maybe that's 10,000. So just kind of double clicking there a little bit more. Otherwise, great job.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was lost for a very long time. Now, granted, if you're talking to a bunch of investors or government people, that know all this and they don't need the explanation, then maybe that's fine. But I echo all of these comments. I was lost for a very long time. I think if you set it up so that understanding that it's the technology itself, I don't understand at all. I think it would be helpful to understand what the technology actually is. But then it took so long to get to the actual use cases. Then I was left for my own imagination to figure out, all the different ways that it can be used. What are for these government entities, municipalities, like pick your 2 sweet spot that you're going to go to market with and start with that story. Start saying, okay, well, right now there are cell towers and there's video cameras, and that can get you from, I don't know, A to M, let's say, right? That'll only get you XYZ, and here are the limitations with that technology. Are you adding yours? Are you supplanting? Like, is it instead of? Is it in addition to? If you add on our technology, we are able to get all the way to Z. It's more cost efficient. The information is clear. Is this a privacy issue? Are you wanting to step away from privacy concerns in terms of facial recognition? Like, I think, where I was saying to Michael, I thought he was like 90% there. Tara, I think you're like 70. 75% the way there. I think that needs a lot of work on the story that you're telling so that people can, because it seems what I left with was, okay, the team seems really impressive. They've got solid traction and credibility with the SBIR stuff, and it sounds pretty cool. But that's it. I have no real concept. And look, in 5 or 6 minutes, you're not going to be able to get through everything, but I should have a little bit more takeaway on why it sounds cool, why it sounds like, why this product sounds like it could be really transformative, and the mass problem that at first I thought it was a cyber thing. So I think you need to reorder per the comments before, streamline, and really help us understand by bringing up those few use cases up and understanding where they fall within the current problems and or limitations that who you think your future customers are experiencing.
Thank you, everybody. That's really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the last 10 minutes or a few minutes, I will love to open it up to the group and or to our entrepreneurs. If you have questions on any of the feedback from any one of the judges and you'd like to drill down a little bit, feel free to unmute. And then folks in the audience, our observers, if you have feedback for any one of our founders, please feel free to chime in.
I'm happy to start.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, so one of the kind of research reports that SVB puts out a couple times a year, it's called the State of the Markets. You know, you can download it on our website. I think it has one of the kind of deepest looks at the venture and fundraising environment out there. And you know, not to sugarcoat everything, like it's really difficult. Like this has been one of the hardest, I think, periods for companies to go out and raise capital. And so the metrics even to raise a seed round, you know, it's like the goalposts keep getting shifted and getting moved further and further out. I mean, I was just talking to one company here in the DC area, super impressive founder, trying to raise her seed round, you know, Stanford CS, a cybersecurity company, and is basically being told that she needs $1 million of revenue in order to just get a meeting with some of these seed investors. And so I think the pitches that we heard today, like they were awesome. But I think it's really important to kind of dual track it a little bit. Obviously work on the trying to raise money, but then also try to figure out how can you generate as much revenue as possible if that, you know, investment doesn't materialize. You know, how can you get scrappy, continue to bootstrap? You know, the government grants are a great example, I think, of that, to then generate some revenue, because ultimately investors, you know, they're basically looking for traction. They're looking for growth and traction. Those are the two biggest things they care about. So how quickly are you growing? And then, you know, and that demonstrates that you have some kind of product, you know, that demonstrates you're serving a need in the market. And then what's your retention, which generates that you have product market fit, you're serving a real need, net revenue retention, growth, what have you. And then the margins and things like that are, you know, they're also getting more important. But I just really, I think in this market, it's like, how can you grow? If you're pre-revenue, I think in this environment, you're not going to raise. So you're going to need to have some revenue and to demonstrate some growth.
Great comments and oh so true. We're seeing the same. Anybody else want to chime in with some feedback for our entrepreneurs?
I will put a plug in for DCA Live's Capital that's coming in, I think it's 2 months' time. Applications to present for founders are open, I believe, until Friday. So if you're looking for more practice on your presentations, that might be something to check out.
That's true. Thank you. Thank you, Krista, for that great plug. Anybody else have any comments or feedback? Okay. Well, we'll wrap up.
Can I say one more thing to stand on a more positive note?
No, please.
Thank you so much to the founders, right? I mean, you guys are, it's so impressive with, you know, the companies and what brings you to these problems and really improving things out in the world. So like, even though it's really difficult out there, like, I hope you guys continue kind of tracking on and building and delivering and all of that. Like, thanks so much. Like, we wouldn't exist as an institution if it wasn't for entrepreneurs, the founders, the investors out there. And so we really are, it's so admirable, I think, with all the work that you guys do.
Amen. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank our three fantastic, extraordinary entrepreneurs, and congratulations to each of you on all the success to date. Candy, Tyrell, and Michael, please stay in touch. Please come back. We have many companies that go back and refine their pitch and then come back to us, and feel free to, join us as much as possible. Listen in. Sometimes as a founder, hearing feedback on other people's pitches is also a phenomenal resource for hearing what might resonate for you as well. So thanks to each of you for participating today. Huge thank you and shout out to our Pitchmasters partners, Miranda with SeedSpot, Krista from Deloitte, and Patrick from Silicon Valley Bank. Always thrilled to have you guys here. For next, please follow us on LinkedIn, sign up for our alert. Our next Raise event, our third, is next Tuesday at Shulman Rogers offices. We are going to be scheduling a virtual one, so stay tuned for more information around that. And we hope to see you next time and at other future next events. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.